Alright, Harvey Talks Prison here. Hit that like and subscribe if you would, please. Especially if you like prison content. Today I want to talk about horseplaying and pranks in prison. I got this from watching a video from Life in Prison. And he told me, sometimes the horseplaying can get out of hand. I've seen people fight start on. Horseplaying in itself is against the rules in prison. That's just where you're joking and shoving and you're just playing. But most guards won't say anything unless they think it's getting out of hand, and then they can write you up for it. You just see people arrested. They don't allow that because fights can start, whatever. But you have these pranks and these dares, and what you do is, like, you made a bet with somebody. If you lost, one of them was dying cockroach. That means, say I made a bet with you and you lost. The dying cockroach is on call. I'll tell you, dude, the dying cockroach. It can be in the chow hall, it can be in the gym, it can be anywhere, be out in the yard. I said, give me a dying cockroach. You lay on your back, put your arms and legs in there, and just start kicking them like a dying cockroach. Another one was, I didn't see this too often, but people would, if they lost a bet, we'd have to shave their eyebrows. Or shave some part of their hair, usually the eyebrows. And like Life in Prison is talking about, people getting ready to go home or get transferred or something like that, they would run up and while they're in the shower with a bucket of ice and water and throw it on them. For a long time, guards didn't have a problem with that. They all thought it fun. Sometimes, like if somebody's going home, they take a shower at night after everybody's locked down, the guard might let some people out to do that. They stopped doing that in the prisons I was in because I guess there was a risk of a heart attack. All of a sudden cold water being thrown on you. I guess they found out that it could cause heart attacks. Maybe it actually happened, I don't know. Then, by a couple years before I got released from prison, or got my level dropped, so I went to level 1. These people in the high-level prisons, a lot of them was people I worked out with and hung around with, started doing what they called teabagging. And that's if you saw somebody sitting on the ground, you walked up and you put your junk in their face. And me and some others told them, don't be doing that to me, And I went as far as telling them, you do that to me, you might get a piece of steel in you. That's just, to me, that's not playing. There's nothing funny about that. I think if you do that, you're weird, There's something wrong with it. Why would you do that? I remember one time, we was in chow hall, and I actually seen a fight start over the teabagging thing. But we're in the chow hall, and we're sitting with this guy. Two of my workout partners were sitting with this other guy. He didn't work out with us, but he hung around with us. And he goes, look, when they run us out of the chow hall, I'm going to race back to the cell. I'm going to strip down naked, and I'm going to jump in bed and just lay there. As a joke to myself. So when we all left, he took off. And his cellies, we got to walk him with his cellie, because we wanted to see this. And we're talking to his cellie and stuff. And we go in the wing, and he opens up the cell door. And his cellie's laying on the top bunk naked. And he just stares for a second. Then he opens the door real wide and he goes, he's here for the taking, guys. he just turned it back on the guy, you know. So the guy jumped down and he's trying to get his clothes on and stuff, and everybody's laughing and stuff. But that's the kind of stuff that went on. It wasn't all doom and gloom in prison. You know, it's people with they tried to have fun, tried to pass time. You know, I've been involved in horse playing and playing pranks on people, and everybody. I've told you everybody about Kevin. He and I, when we were younger, we used to wrestle in the cell. You know, just wrestle around and do stupid things. As we got older, we stopped doing that because we really didn't have the stamina for it, you know, and plus it got to hurting. But people do that to try to pass time. You always do it with somebody you know and you're cool with, and that you know can take a joke. You don't go up to somebody and start joking and playing with them that you don't know them or you don't miss with them. I remember one time sitting in the chow hall, and it was one of the rare occasions that I sat at a table by myself. And these two guys come up. One of the older guy looked familiar to me, and the younger guy I didn't know from Adam. But he just talked and talked and talked and talked. He was one of those guys that blow all the time, you know. He did this, he did that. The older guy, I guess, was trying to school him, was telling him to watch his mouth. You know, he said, you need to cut that out. Well, we was having cake, and the dude says, Pops here spent a lot of time at the walls. I said, oh yeah? He goes, I spent a year there myself. So I'm thinking in my head, that's where I know the older guy from, is from the walls. But this young guy is getting on my nerves. And, you know, I don't care if he was at the walls or not. You know, that doesn't impress me. I was there. You know, it impresses me in the fact that you made it out. You know, anybody that made it out of that place, my hat's off to them. Whether they're staff or those incarcerated. I mean, that was a horrible place. Dangerous. But he goes, he picks up his fork, and he goes, why don't I just take your cake? And now, he's just playing. But I blasted him. It's not the principle of whether he's going to take my cake. You know, it wasn't the thing that I thought he was going to take my cake, or that whatever, you know, the cake was dry cake, you know, it wasn't even that good. It was the principle behind the whole thing. So I blasted him, and fucking guards come running over, and they maced us and everything. Of course, you know, people coming through that was eating, they liked it because they get another tray. But as they're picking us up and they're cuffing us and everything, the old man tells the young kid, said, I told you, man. I told you, watch your mouth. When are you going to learn? But, so you don't joke and play with somebody you don't know. You just don't, you know. But I remember another time, there was this guy, and they wrote him up for horseplaying, but they wasn't even really horseplaying. We was on a yard, and there was this guy that used to play rugby all the time. And he was kind of beat up from playing rugby, you know. That's a rough sport. But our younger guy was asking him, he says, how exactly is this game played? So he told him how to get in position, and he got in position, and this guard came running out of nowhere. They hadn't even really, I think they might have had their hands on each other's arms or something. This guard came running out of nowhere, and anyway, other guards, you know, he's on the radio and everything. Other guards came running, and they took him to the hole for horseplaying. And all he was doing was showing him how to play rugby. You know, they wasn't even going to go through with it. He's just showing him the stance. And so sometimes it's stupid when you get write-ups for things like that, you know. But you always got to be careful about the playing. You know, I know one guard one guy that was in the wing with me, and he always played with this guard. Always joking and playing the freaks. Playing the freaks is when you start talking sexual to somebody else. You know, you don't really mean it, but you're doing it just, you know, as a joke. And I told him, I said, you need to knock that off. And he goes, oh man, he's cool. I said, no, he's not cool. He's gonna come in a bad mood one day, and or you know, you're going to say something that he doesn't like, and you're going to the hole. Well, one day it happened. This guard worked on the evening shift, and this guy was just waiting for him to come in. And so he comes in, he runs over to the thing, starts, you know, playing the freaks with him, and the guard tells him, the guard warns him. He goes, man, not today. I'm not in the mood for today. You know, just drop that for today. The guy says, oh, what's the matter? Get your panties in a bunch? That guard slammed him up against the wall. He slammed him into the, you know, had enough of it, slammed him into the wall, cuffed him, took him to the hole. And when he gets out of the hole, he goes, I don't know what was wrong with him. You know, why did he do that? I said, I told you, man. That's what happens when you play with guards. You know? You don't do that shit. So I think he learned his lesson. Anyway, that's all I got for you today. Just a little short video. You know, people do joke and laugh and try to have fun in prison. So I thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.